Welcome, folks. This is Chris, the Bardic DM, here with as always, with my co-host Josh. As the Rambling Bards, and this time as the title card says, we are reviewing Final Fantasy, but more precisely Final Fantasy D20, a fan-made conversion of the Final Fantasy setting and systems for the Pathfinder role-playing game. I believe you're quite a fan of this, aren't you, Josh?
Absolutely. I've played it a few times. I would highly recommend this system, especially for fans.
Yeah. Never played it, never GM'd it, but wouldn't mind doing so at some point. And sorry about that, just adjusting volume so people can hear you properly.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, first major changes to the system of note. We'll start with the limit breaks, which is, I think, it's been sort of in and out of different versions of Final Fantasy. The image they use is one of Cloud, but I'm not sure if it actually started in 7 or if it existed before then. You got any idea?
I'm actually looking it up right now.
Fair enough.
No, it started in 6 as the Desperation Attack, but in 7 is where it got the Limit Break name.
Which would explain the use of Cloud. So, special abilities to each class. All base and prestige classes get at first level. You get, from what I've seen, normally 2 choices, and most require a standard action. And you can only activate a limit break while your health or the health of your animal companion, automaton, etc. is 50% or less. All limit breaks are considered supernatural abilities, unless stated otherwise, and you get 1 use at first level per day and an additional use every 4 levels after that. I'm sure there's probably a feat that gives more, but...
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably lessen the amount of limit breaks you can get. Maybe over 5 levels or so.
Well, maybe, but at the same time, it depends on how combat heavy you're going to make the campaign, and how beefed up you're going to make the monsters. Because some of the monsters, from what I've seen in their bestiary, are ridiculous.
I had actually played the whole. They have a pre-made adventure path at the Tower of what was it called? The Tower of Chaos or something, Chaos or something like that, where you fight Garland.
Yeah.
I was in a game. I was playing a Dragoon. I was at pretty much max health. He one-shotted me and managed to knock me below. He managed to knock me below my my ability score pool. Con score. So I was just flat dead.
Yeah, so I can kind of see why they might give you them, because you might need them with some of the monsters they throw at you. Then again, the same's true with some of the monsters at Pathfinder. I mean, can you really say that if you were going up against, say, a Leviathan, you wouldn't probably get through all of your day's uses of your limit break before it went down?
Yeah, especially when they got to make like 1,000 ray attacks that basically just forced feeble mind saves.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do think there's got to be something they make that's a way around feeble minds, or there should be at least, just because of how ridiculously bad it is, and they've given it to so many monsters now. Let's see, and then of course there's the fact that this, like the Final Fantasy, runs on an MP system, so a bit like the old 3.5 spell point system.
I think more like psionics for those who have experienced that.
Yeah, and trust me, you did not want to experience the 3.5 spell point system. Well, not unless you were playing a mage.
Oh god, I just realized how much worse Feeble Mind is at 5e. It's actually an intelligence saving throw instead of wisdom.
Wait, so, well, yeah, let us not go into 5e and all of its weirdness about, saving throws for every attribute rather than just a trio. Simplified. Yeah, really.
That's for another day.
Yeah, I mean, 5.5e has brought some good things. There's some great settings that have been produced by third-party groups for it that I love converting over for Pathfinder. Tal'Darai, prime example. But yeah, let's see. You get, let's see, how much do you get? Let's see. Yeah, and it is exactly like that, but you can actually overspend as well. Oh dear, that's yeah, but only up to half your level. So that means you could spend 10 points on a level 9 spell. No, yeah, 10 points on a level 9 spell at 20, which would mean you could boost it by a single meta magic. You can meta magic. There it goes, folks. You can meta magic 9th level spells. Says it all about this system, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, like what, a twin Lail Banshee?
That'd be my thing, yeah. At least for my villains.
True.
Yeah.
Maybe like Coral was going to try and whale Banshee. I forgot a good spot for it.
Yeah, unfortunately the only spot you got for it was kind of when the enemy boss was using it against you guys.
Yeah, sadly.
Thankfully you had elemental spam to save the day. Oh, when you get a bonus number of points per day based on your intelligence modifier. So rather than just getting extra spells per day, you get, if you've got an 18 intelligence, you get an additional 4 spells an additional 4 first level spells at level 1 effectively.
Actually, it's not just intelligence; it's the same as every caster, like all the ability score stuff in Pathfinder.
So no matter what, you get an additional 4 spells at first level if you've got an 18 intelligence. Well, that certainly takes away the low level issues for mages of any variety.
Thank God.
Yeah, but it kind of also makes the disparity even worse for marshals. Well, we'd have to have a look at the actual marshals before we can say that, but I'm guessing the caster disparity is probably still there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, I'm fairly sure from what I remember reading through in this system, they do get abilities that bring them up in some ways, but at the same time, dear God, that's a lot of extra power. I mean, it could be funny at the same time, but dear God. So, let's have a look at the various races. Dwarfs are our standard Pathfinder.
Elves are more brawny and actually get penalties to Dex.
Yeah, the Elvan. +2 wisdom, +2 strength, -2 dexterity. Still weirds me out to see that on any character on any race with pointy ears, although I might use it for my Wood Elf conversion for the, distinct races thing. They get weapon focus feat for free at first level on any weapon they are proficient in. Well, making an elf fighter just made a lot more sense.
Standard +2 on perception checks.
Yeah. Although it's retitled, they get a +2 on bonus on knowledge and ability and knowledge history. Makes sense. They get hatred as the dwarf ability for orcs and goblins. They get the standard. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just probably going to move on to what you were probably going to get to next, weapon familiarity.
Yeah, which is standard as elves, so they can get weapon focus longsword as a mage at level 1. So you could have a mage hitting with a sword as well, if not better than a fighter at level 1.
At least even the divine casters, they only get, well, the white mages and such, they only get half. They only get half base attack bonus.
Yeah.
Instead of third.
fair point. Let's see. There's some alternate race traits. They can get straight up dark vision just as a straight upgrade.
But they do get light sensitivity to balance it out.
Yeah, it just doesn't list it as a separate thing. Let's see, they can get a +2 racial bonus on concentration checks made to cast spells defensively, which replaces their weapon familiarity. That's pretty badass in and of itself.
They get basically endurance as a racial trait.
Yeah, as we'll note as we go through, there are some thoroughly broken alternate racial traits in this thing. But it sort of matches up with the other ones you can get for the rest of the races, from what I remember.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
They can also get run as there's also fleet-footed that lets you get run as a bonus feat, as well as a +2 initiative bonus.
Well, that completely negates the biggest penalty of their -2 to Dex.
Ooh, and there's plus there's also nightly upbringing,
which changes it to a +2 to Strength, +2 to Charisma, and -2 to Wisdom.
So no penalty. There can be no penalty to Dex at all.
Yeah, and what they forfeit for the fleet-footed, by the way, is the bonuses to Knowledge History and Knowledge Nobility, and the weapon focus. So, Long Limb, which can increase their base land speed to 35 feet.
Yeah, well, lose weapon familiarity. At least you can't stack fleet-footed and long limb.
You can. It's martial background they lose for fleet-footed.
Oh, right. Sorry.
So yeah, you can. If you want to play an Elven Sprinter. Slender, let's see, gives a +2 bonus on escape archer checks and combat maneuver checks to escape a grapple, and CMD against grapples, which replaces weapon familiarity. Not bad if you want to play a monk or something like that. Spirit of the Water, +4 racial bonus on swim checks, or it can always take 10 miles swimming, and can choose Aquan as bonus language. This replaces noble upbringing and weapon familiarity. Oh, and it changes what they're familiar with to give them long spear, trident, and net.
Yeah, I do like, well, at least one thing with all these alternate racial feats. I like how much we could play up, but just swap what sort of type of elf they are. That's one thing I am really liking.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I ever do get around to working on that alternate to Pathfinder 2.0, I'm definitely going to take some inspiration there for more modularity in racial traits to make them very evocative type of elf.
Good.
Urbanite, let's see, +2 bonus on diplomacy checks made to gather information, and sense motive checks made to get a hunch about social situations, and that replaces keen senses. Dear God, why would anyone pick that? I'm sorry, but why would you? You can get traits that give you better benefits to diplomacy and sense motive than that does, and you don't lose it.
More generally useful. Flat bonuses instead of situational ones.
Yeah, they've got 2 racial archetypes, which are Keeper for Astrologian and Spelldancer. We might get to them this session. We might have to do more than 1 week. We're probably going to have to do 2 or 3 weeks on this.
Yep, there is so much to go over.
Yeah, possibly 4 if we decide to go through in depth on the bestiary. If nothing else, I definitely want to have a look at the Behemoth, because dear God, that thing was fun to fight in. Well, sort of fun to fight in Monster Hunter.
Definitely have to take a look then. I can't wait to get the actual campaign planning.
Oh, for our other campaign that we're doing?
No, this for Final Fantasy.
Oh, of course. Make it 5 weeks then. Well, at least we've got a long running thing. Now onto the Galka. Effectively, I'd say equivalent to half orcs. At least for, the type of thing you're doing, the big brute.
Yeah, +2 to strength, +2 to wisdom, penalty to charisma. I'd say that's a pretty safe comparison.
Medium creatures, base speed. They have the dwarves 20. They have a 20-foot land speed with the slow and steady trait. They have stability. They get a +2 bonus. They have hearty as well. So they're sort of like an alternate take on dwarves. apart from they get a +2 on +2 racial bonus on intimidate checks, and a +2 on craft checks involving metal. So yeah, it's sort of like a hybrid between a dwarf and an orc. Oh dear God, they get full on ferocity, not just, the orcish ferocity downgrade version.
Oh, that's nasty. I pity the parents. I pity the half-breed who would actually be a half-dwarf.
Yeah, but oh dear God, and they get weapon familiarity, so they get to treat the war pick as a martial weapon, which isn't great, but it's not bad. But oh dear God, if I'm ever playing one of these things, I am definitely playing them as a barbarian.
As you should.
Because just being staggered at 0 hit points and still being able to fight as a barbarian? Yeah, that's gonna be fun. And I'm not sure why you would ever pick their second of their alternate racial traits. We'll get to the first one in a second, but Beastmaster, +2 bonus on racial bonus on handle animal checks, replaces ferocity. Oh, and you get to treat whips and nets as martial weapons.
There's always going to be some in it, but even that's going to be pretty rare.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If someone was doing that, I would actually have to go and talk to them, because it's just not worth it.
Not even remotely.
I mean, if you're playing a ranger or something, no, it's not worth it. There are traits that give better bonuses to handle animal.
Ooh, chain fighter. Give your barbarian a spiked chain.
Yeah, and do it with the options from Book of the Damned. It wouldn't be as important with this, but you could do it with the Book of the Damned thing that turns it into a one-handed reach weapon that does dex to damage.
That would be brutal.
Admittedly, it kind of wastes their strength, but who cares at that point? You've got a... Actually, that would be a point. You wouldn't want to do that with a barbarian. You'd just make these guys into a fighter if you were going to do that. Just because, well, barbarians kind of get all their bonuses to strength anyway, so why would you be... But let's see. Architectural Ingenuity is the one we skipped over, which gives them a +2 bonus on knowledge engineering checks and on craft and perception checks related to structures, including structural traps. This replaces Metal Worker, which gives them their bonus to working with metal. For a Galka rogue, that'd actually be pretty badass.
Not bad.
Next down we have the half-orc racial trait of Cave White. Gives them +1 racial bonus on knowledge, dungeoneering and survival checks made underground. Replaces imposing figure, so get a +1 on 2 skills instead of the +2 on intimidate. Could be useful.
Yeah, pretty situational but nice.
Yeah. As you say, chain fighter, so yeah, that'd be, as we've already got over, that could be good in the right situation. City Raised, again another half-orc trait, so they really are taking a lot from the half-orc. Are proficient with whips and longswords, and receive a +2 racial bonus on knowledge local checks, and are and that replaces weapon familiarity. You see, that I can understand taking, because it replaces weapon familiarity, but and gives you actually better weapon options, and gives them a bonus on knowledge local checks.
Yep, so perfect rogue trait.
Yep. And then you swap out Metalworker for Architectural Ingenuity as well. Couldn't play it as a face rogue though with the -2 to charisma.
Nope, that'll be pretty rough.
Dark Vision replaced Low Light Vision, and Metalworker doesn't get the light sensitivity issue.
Yep, so that'd be probably just a pretty easy swap out for most people.
Yeah, unless you're trying to play up the blacksmith angle. And even if you did, I'd still say that getting the Dark Vision is better than having the Metal Worker.
No, definitely. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Scavenger, get a +2 racial bonus on appraise checks and perception checks to find hidden objects, including traps and secret doors. And determine whether food is spoiled or identify poison by taste, replaces imposing figure. These guys really are kind of, with the right alternate racial traits, are really built to be rogues, aren't they? I mean,
pretty much now, if only you get your speed up.
Yeah, I mean, you've got if you put Scavenger, Architectural Ingenuity, and City Raised on and the Dark Vision on the... No, you can't, because you have to pick between Scavenger and Dark Vision. I would say that Scavenger might be better, considering between that and Architectural Ingenuity you can be getting up to a +4 on detecting traps.
You wouldn't need to drop Dark Vision for Scavenger, just because Scavenger will replace Imposing Figure, not Metalworker.
Oh, I misread that. What replaces Metalworker? Oh, it's Metalworker, or you'd have to choose either Dark Vision or Architectural Ingenuity. Sorry, my mistake. But yeah.
Oh god, look at Tenacious. One day you could just choose to re-roll a Fortitude, Will, or Constitution check.
Yeah, and you have to take it even if it's worse, but it replaces Ferocity. Wary. That's a half-elf trait normally, +1 racial bonus on sense, motive, and bluff checks. Replaces Metalworker. So you could do partial face rogues, but not a full one. There's a whole host of racial feats we'll go through at another point. They have 3 racial archetypes. The Fell Rider, which is an archetype of the Chocobo Knight class.
Yeah, you basically get to Hulk out your Chocobo.
Oh, I was expecting it rode something other than a Chocobo.
That's what I was a bit expecting. I was going to think there was going to be some replacement for like a warg type creature.
Yeah. The Iron Skin Monk sounds cool. And the Skulking Slayer. I think I've seen someone play one of these unintentionally. In my it was someone who had to leave my Curse of the Crimson Throne campaign. He was playing a part ogre human slayer who was focused on a great sword Vital Strike build.
Nice. Oh man, Iron Skin Monk. You lose your wisdom to AC, but you get natural armor increases as you level. Plus basically a fortitude version of evasion.
Oh, that's pretty damn nice actually. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, he used a build using specific ogre feats that basically meant whenever he chose to Vital Strike, he also applied his sneak attack dice.
Ooh, then you just take 2 levels of rogue so you can have evasion and resilience.
Oh, for the Iron Skin Monk?
Yep.
Oh, that would be filthy. That would be...
Chris, I know what I'm doing if you ever run this.
Yeah, for once you won't be playing a face. That's going to be unusual.
Yeah. Admittedly, every time I've tried to play this system, I've tried to play a Dragoon.
Yeah, I think you might have more fun with the Iron Skin Monk from the sounds of it, just because, dear God, you'll be unstoppable.
Maybe. But then again, I would also enjoy slowly driving you insane, because most of the Dragoon abilities are based on the Polar Master Fighter archetype.
Yeah, that could be funny. I'm currently in the game I'm playing in. I think someone's using that on a Kobold Press Dragonborn.
Wait, I mistook what you're saying. Never mind. No, you're saying I thought you were saying it was actual Kobold doing that instead of Dragon.
No, Kobold Press the books, and the Humes are for the most part just using, apart from a couple of things, appear to be mainly using the base feats for the Hume, but there's a couple alchemically enhanced +3, which means how we do so. A Hume with this trait gains a +3 racial bonus to Constitution, Dexterity, or Strength. However, you now take a -2 on penalties on Fortitude saves against poison, and a That's pretty nice, actually. I could deal with that. Cetra Ancestry gives +2 racial bonus on all knowledge skill checks, and all knowledge skills are class skills.
All I'm thinking with that is someone have an Aerith situation where he's constantly calling himself between the two different names, using that background, just to annoy people.
Yeah, I would have to stamp down on that if I was a DM. Let's see. Yeah. I don't see any others that stick out as anything other than the base Pathfinder ones. I'm just having a look through, but I don't think so. Let me know if you spot any.
There is one. There's a trait that'll let you get a feat called the Technologist. Basically, it lets you use technology-based skills untrained.
Okay, that's pretty sweet. Which one's that?
It's Frontier Survivor.
I'm not sure if that might not be one of the ones. I wasn't sure if that might be from the technology guide. But I'm not sure. I'd have to look on archive.
No, it's actually a feed on the site.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep, there's actually a link that'll take you directly to it.
I'll have a look later. But they've got a few racial feats, some of which make me more worried than others, such as the luck-based feats. It's like, oh dear God. There are luck feats. That never ends well. Then again, this does use the hero system, so that probably has something to do. The hero point system, so that could have something to do with it.
Yep, there's even one trait that gives you the Blood of Heroes feat for Pathfinder.
Yeah, I think that might actually be an actual Pathfinder one, but I could be wrong.
Nope, you're right about that.
Yeah, and then of course we've got the racial archetypes: Buccaneer for Gunner, Feral Child for Geomancer. I'm guessing that's a Druid analog. Generalist. Pardon?
I was just going to say that would probably make more sense to make it a Blue Mage, considering Final Fantasy VI.
And most of the other applications of Blue Mage. I mean, the main one that sticks out to me is Kimari.
Yeah, true.
Although, admittedly, the Blue Mage in 8, from what I understand, haven't played it myself, is a bit of a weird one, considering she was basically an instructor who went around eating things to gain their power. And then there was so the Generalist for the Red Mage. Why do I get the feeling that's going to be overpowered?
Probably.
Then again, it's a Red Mage. They normally are, from what I understand. And the Wanderer Monk. Now we're on to the Mithra.
Yep, the obligatory cat girls.
Well, I suppose this would be one way of having consistent art for catfolk if we just transpose the Mithra art for Pathfinder games. I mean, have you ever tried keeping track of all the different designs for catfolk in Pathfinder?
Nope, may as well just make them regular cat girls and such.
Yeah, because there's about 4 or 5 different interpretations so far. Which, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with that. If I'm going to have to deal with catfolk, I'm going to pick a specific art style and stick with it. The way I considered doing it was just having, apart from these, was the old 2011 Thundercats reboot and using that art. Yeah, it was an alright show, from what I remember.
I never saw it.
It was a lot more. It was a lot more structured, and they tried to explain a lot more about why there were so many different races on one planet, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's nice at least. And oh god, did Metro actually have a rogue archetype called Cat Burglar?
Well, so do catfolk in Pathfinder, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I never played them.
But yes, they get +2 dexterity, +2 charisma, and -2 wisdom. Yeah, sounds about right. And sounds about right for the people who normally want to play catfolk as well.
Definitely.
Let's see. Defense racial traits. Cat's Luck, basically a once per day reroll on reflex saving throws.
A rogue stream.
Yeah. But you have to decide to use it before making the saving throw.
That's nice, at least. No, man. Natural Hunter, +2 on Perception, Stealth, and Survival.
Oh, that's brutal. Although the Nimble Faller is, getting to negate 10 feet of falling damage is pretty nice as well. And a +1 on CMD against trip maneuvers.
Yeah, but admittedly, you can negate the fall damage just by... Will it be willing to take the call in 1 second? I guess someone's calling me.
No problem, dude. You mute and I'll take care of the rest of the description. Okay, next one we have is Sprinter, gaining 10-foot bonus on their speed when using charge, run or withdraw actions. And then they have low light vision. A bit lower on the traits, but damn if they ain't powerful. Alternate racial traits. Cat's Claws. And again, you get 2 claws that deal a d4 of damage each, and this replaces Natural Hunter that's the +2 bonus on Perception, Stealth and Survival. Dear God, that is bad. Or... And we've just found Josh's dream trait. +2 bonus on Bluff, Diplomacy and Sense Motive checks. Replaces Natural Hunter.
Oh, definitely. That would be perfect.
Yeah, you playing a rogue with that... Yeah, you playing a Mithra rogue. Yeah, you're taking that trait, aren't you?
Ooh, I can make it even worse. I could lose my low light vision but gain the scent ability.
No, I'd say that'd be worse with the Natural Hunter, surely.
Yeah. But still, that would be really good either way.
Yeah. Let's see.
They get the tieflings tail traits.
Yeah, not bad. Curiosity, get a +4 bonus on diplomacy checks to gather information, and knowledge history and knowledge local are always class skills for them. If they already has those as class skills, gain a +2 to those skills instead. Ouch!
Very nice.
Again, replaces Natural Hunter, but damn! And Jungle Stalk, +2 bonus on acrobatics checks, and can ignore the first square of difficult terrain caused by foliage each round. Replaces Cat's Luck and Sprinter. It replaces your free reroll. Oh no, it replaces your negation of fall damage, sorry, Matt. No, it does, it replaces your free reroll, so no, that's not worth it at all.
Nope. Man, to get back on your complaining about the whole art situation,
yeah,
they have variant heritages.
And one of them is near... Yes, and they are... Yes, and to continue my joke, they are all near enough names from Thundercats. The only one that isn't is Jagara. The rest are all actually... I mean, Liono, Tigra, Chitara, Panthro, and Pumira.
Jagara could be brutal if it were a spellcaster.
Yeah, +4 dex, -2 strength. Getting bonuses to acrobat. The Chitara?
No, the Jaguara.
Jagara.
Very bottom.
Yeah, +2 dex, +2 int, -2 con. Get a +2 bonus on knowledge arcana, spellcraft, and use magic device. Ow. Rogue would be pretty scary with Chitara. +4 dex, -2 strength, acrobatics, climb, and escape artist is your +2 bonus from the hunter check.
I looked up the Mithril Fighter racial feat.
Yeah.
It's pretty much made for someone who wants to make a cat roll with a giant sword. You don't take the -2 penalty when using cleave, lunge, or when you charge.
Okay, but again, I think another one that would be quite... and Lion-O, yeah, Lion-O is literally how to make Lion-O from Thundercats. It's got +2 strength, +2 charisma, -2 wisdom, get bonuses to diplomacy, knowledge, and ability, and use magic device. Panther would be pretty...
Go ahead.
Panther would be pretty scary. It wouldn't be for your type of rogue, but for the right type of rogue it would be scary. +2 strength, +2 int, -2 charisma, get a +2 on disable device, drive, and knowledge technology. Oh, yeah. And they also get the Nimble Guardian. Why do I get the feeling that's built for the Chitara race option?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, is it a dex damage monk? It wouldn't surprise me if it is. No, but it does allow them... It is basically the Guardians... It is basically using the lore of the 2011 Guardians from Thundercat, though.
They had to have been making this at the same time, because I know this stuff's been around for years.
If not at the same time, probably quite in... Because basically the Guardians, you know, the group that Chitara was involved in that series, were basically the bodyguards of the royal family. So the fact that they get the option to, you know, basically interpose themselves to grant bonuses to AC. Oh, hell! Consider for the Chitara, at level 6 they get a +2 bonus on all reflex saving throws. And this increases by 1 for every 4 levels thereafter.
Yep, and they get evasion as part of that archetype.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a broken monk archetype at all, is it?
Not even remotely.
And it's not like you can do a dex to damage monk, not at all. And if you can't yet, I'm sure there will be ways somewhere.
Oh god, the Mithra have extra thief talents. Vicious Claws. A Mithra with this talent uses D8s to roll sneak attack damage instead of D6s. But you have to be using your claws to do it.
Yeah, but to be fair, the claws... If you want to get the actual claws, you have to give up your racial +2 to 3 different skills.
Yeah, but there are gonna be plenty of power gamers who are gonna throw that out with a second thought.
Yeah, this is true, but the claws only do a D4 of damage.
Yeah, stack it with enough D8s, that's not gonna be an issue at all.
This is true, but at the same time, you can see what I mean.
Yeah.
Although they'd probably try and multi-class it with monk, so that they could do the whole thing to use their monk damage dice. They use the feat that allows them to use their monk damage dice for natural weapons.
They just carry around a wand of the large person.
Yeah. And then there's the option to play as a Moogle.
I would flat ban that if I ever run a campaign. I would throttle someone if I had to keep listening to them say Kupo.
Yeah, I don't think they're actually meant to be full on, because if you look at the art, they're a bit different, but they get a +2 to dexterity, +2 charisma, and -2 strength. I'm not sure about the +2 charisma.
Same.
20-foot lance.
Really, no, really, what would you give them their mental stat of?
Probably intelligence. They're supposed to be quite knowledgeable traders and merchants, aren't they, in most representations?
Yeah.
And let's be fair, a small race with a +2 to intelligence? Yeah, I'd play that. Basically, ultimate wizard fodder. Okay, they get defensive training against giants. Alright then. They're constantly hopeful. They get a +2 bonus on saving throw against fear and despair effects, and once per day after rolling a 1 on a D20, the Moogle may re-roll and use the second result.
And there's a reason some people will play Moogles.
Yeah! Re-roll a natural 1 once per day. Any natural 1. Holy shit, that's broken.
We get someone playing a human who gets that he gets that feat that lets you choose alternate racial feats for himself.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, but these are racial traits, so they can't get them by that. Hopefully.
I think there is actually one.
No,
like
there is a feat. There is a thing, but that lets you pick up race traits. You know, from the actual race traits category, not racial traits.
Yeah.
Thankfully. No, I tried doing it that way, and then there was a clarification on Paizo's forums that no, it's just the category of traits that are classed under race, not racial traits, as in what are what are tied to the race before you pick your traits. They really should have picked a different name for it. Cultural traits would have been a better name, surely.
True.
Particularly when you have things like that aren't just human but specific to particular types of human listed in some of the earliest examples, like human Ulfin. Why not just call them cultural traits and leave it at that?
No, not a clue.
+2. Okay, for their other traits, they have a +2 on racial. They have the good merchant trait, which gives them a +2 racial bonus on all appraise checks, and they get a +2 racial bonus on all diplomacy checks concerning any type of business transaction. They receive a +2 racial bonus on a craft or profession skill of their choice, and they get a +2 and they get keen senses, so +2 on perception. So they wouldn't actually be a bad face either.
Oh, that hurts me as someone who likes to play face.
Yeah, I know. They get a +1 racial bonus on attack rolls made against constructs and receive a +4 dodge bonus against them. Oh, that's just funny. The little rabbit wants to charge the construct. Squish. And they're apparently afraid of water, so if they're drenched in water or other liquids, they receive a -2 penalty on attack and concentration rolls.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably just reflavor it as if they get wet, they're too waterlogged to move around.
Yeah, it's weird. Let's see. They can swap out good merchant for a +2 bonus on any single knowledge skill. Dear God, that is not worth it. They can receive a +2 bonus on sense motive checks, which increases to a +4 when someone is enchanted or possessed in front of them, which replaces their bonus to a craft or profession skill. Again, if you're trying to play a Moogle face, dear God, that is good. I mean, I think even you'd quite like that as an option if you were playing a face, wouldn't you?
I want a minute, but you know the actual answer for this.
Yeah. Again, if it was for any other race than Moogle, you would be snapping that trait up like nobody's business.
True. These people seem to be obsessed with giving Moogles things that will blow stuff up. Engineer gives them +2 on craft alchemy and knowledge engineering checks, and they have an archetype called experimental gunsmith.
That, to be fair, I think both the trait and the archetype are originally for gnomes, so...
Still, but giving Moogles this is just too much for me.
Yeah, I can understand that, although I am now very tempted to play a gunslinger Moogle that acts like Bugs Bunny.
True.
Because, I'm sorry, if it's a rabbit, it looks like a rabbit and it makes things go boom, you have got to play Bugs at that point.
That would be really nice.
And
this recurring enemy would have to be some sort of sentient duck.
Yeah. I think that'd probably be the only way we could probably get you to play a Moogle, was if we just did it up as a Bugs Bunny analogue. Let's see. Explorer. +2 racial bonus on climb checks and 1 knowledge of their choice. Ouch! That gets rid of both the good merchant, which gives them multiple skill bonuses, and their construct familiarity, which gives them a bonus against constructs. Yeah, that ain't worth it.
Not even remotely.
I mean, a +1 to hit against constructs? Yeah, no, that's necessary. Knack with poison, yeah, I'm really not seeing Moogles poisoning people. I think that's again another repositioned gnome trait.
Yeah, they just act so cute so they can sneak in and stab you in the gut.
Yeah. Kupo recovery. Oh dear god, this is the trait that everyone takes. Okay, if you're carrying a Kupo nut with you, which if you've got this trait you are always going to, you've got a standard action instant stabilize for the race.
That's horrible.
For what is effectively, from what I mean, I've not seen the price for Kupo nuts, but I'm guessing it's a fairly inexpensive item. I mean, it still takes your standard action, but that's still pretty nice, particularly if the Moogle is your cleric. Low blow. +1 bonus on critical confirmation against opponents larger than themselves, which is pretty much everybody. Oh, I'm now just thinking about again. I'm thinking the Moogle Bugs Bunny, but making it a monk. Master of the crotch shot.
It's just constant sap shots.
Yeah. Let's see. Master Tinker, again originally a gnome trait. And basically a way for them to get no magic as the next one, which replaces their good merchant and handy, getting them once per day, dancing lights, detect magic, grab and ignite. I think the last two are original spells for this setting.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Let's see. There's an option for if they want to be mounted that gives them a +2 bonus on handle animal and ride checks, called Outrider.
Oh boy, look at this. Lucky Moogle.
Oh
Once
dear.
per day, if an ally within 30 feet of you makes a saving throw, you may roll the same saving throw as if you're the one subject to it. Imagine stacking down with your daily reroll.
Oh dear, that'd be brutal. And of course they've got a specific archetype for the Chocobo Knight. And a Prankster Bard.
I have a headache already.
Yeah, nope, that's Kenda from Dragonlance all over again. I mean, I don't mind Dragonlance and I don't mind Kenda, but I understand why people had problems with it. I don't know if you're familiar with the Kenda controversy.
Not really.
An entire race, they're equivalent of halflings who basically have no concept of property rights.
Oh, damn, I remember now.
I mean, with Tasselhoff in the novels, it was fine because he was actually a kind of a likable character. But dear God, that has some openings for some deep shit to get brought up.
Never again. And I agree with you completely, Carbon.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of this stuff is. And then we have the Taru. This setting's halfling equivalent, which get a +2 to dexterity, +2 intelligence, and +2 charisma, -2 strength and constitution.
Yeah, we found a rogue's let dream.
Or a wizard, or a sorceress.
Or a bard.
Yeah. And of course they get the bonus to AC, they've got slow speed, so at least they haven't got the goblin trick of being small and having 30-foot movement.
Yeah.
Get defensive training against giant, they get a +1 racial saving throw against spells and spell-like effects. So they're spell resistant, so they're rogues that get bonuses against spellcasters. Again, +2 racial bonus on knowledge arcana and spellcraft checks. They can also have talented, which gives them a +2 bonus on a craft or profession of their choice. Magical aptitude, +2 racial bonus on caster level checks made to overcome spell resistance, and a +2 racial bonus on dispel checks.
Yeesh.
Spell focus, +2 racial bonus on concentration checks made to cast spells defensively. And they can use detect magic as an at-will spell-like ability. Someone really wanted these guys to be mages. But all I'm thinking is, yeah, rogues are really going to like this too.
Absolutely.
Oh dear god, these things are arcane tricksters. You sure you want to go with that Iron Skin monk?
Maybe.
God. If they have face alternate racial traits, I have a feeling we've found your new favourite race option. Let's see. Oh, they can swap. Oh, their first option is Academician, which replaces their +220 craft or profession skill of their choice with a +220 knowledge skill of their choice. Yeah, that's not a straight upgrade at all, is it? Oh, and they get Architectural Ingenuity, which replaces the same thing. Yeah, +2 racial bonus on knowledge engineering and on craft and perception checks related to structures, including structural traps.
Dirty Trickster, they get a +2 bonus on Dirty Trick combat maneuvers, so even more reason to play Rogue.
Yeah. Oh dear god, they can get the Eternal Hope, re-roll any natural one once per day. And it replaces their defensive training, so you give up a bonus against giants for a free reroll of any natural one.
Oh, I'm so glad none of the players I had to deal with when I was playing in this game went to these races.
Dear God.
Yeah, what'd you find now?
Oh no, just imagining you running an arcane trickster with that Eternal Hope mixed in. Oh.
You're lucky I'm playing a rogue already.
Like you turn it down if this was plopped in front of you.
I mean, I'm at least I like you enough to at least play Dragoon again.
Or the Iron Skin Monk, as we say, because that does sound like it'd be a fun build. Explorer, +2 racial bonus on climb checks and a knowledge skill of their choice. Replaces talented and spell focus. Only really good if you're not playing a mage.
Yeah.
Inquisitive, +2 racial bonus on disable device and escape artist checks. And it replaces your +2 on knowledge arcana and spellcraft. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, they can be built rogue really easily. Intrepid replaces magic expert and talented again, so their bonus to a craft check and their concentration check. Oh no, sorry, and their basically replaces their knowledge checks. Intrepid Settler, +2 racial bonus on saving throws against fear effects and on acrobatics, climb, and swim checks. That's not bad. Magical Linguist, +2 racial bonus on saving throws against spells that use glyphs, symbols, or other magical writings, and gain spell-like ability comprehend languages, message, and read magic once per day, which replaces their normal spell-like abilities. So you get a bonus on saving throws and different spell-like abilities. Yeah, that's not.
I thought the arrows had enough modifiers and that comprehend languages and all that would just be cool. It's so good on a rogue.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, yes, I'm a spy master. I have a once per day comprehend languages. Or polyglot, +2 on racial bonus on linguistic checks, and it's always a class skill for them. And let's see. Yeah, basically it expands the number of languages, and it basically gives you an extra bonus language for free.
Nice.
Practicality gives you a +2 bonus on any craft one craft or profession skill, as well as on sense motive checks to saves against illusions. Not really worth it.
Never gonna be used. Yeah, that's never gonna be used with the rest of all this.
No, student of the city, +2 racial bonus on knowledge local checks, and can use the skill to gather information in place of diplomacy. My only question, why have dwarves never got this?
No clue.
Because, dear God, that is such a good trait for if you wanted to play a dwarf face. Closest we get, conservative diplomacy. Ugh. And for anyone wondering, go and look it up. It is by far one of the worst potential "here's how you can be a dwarf face" options I've ever seen. Basically puts a permanent 5-point increment to either 5-point penalty on your maximum roll and 5-point bonus on minimum roll, but you can only roll between a 5 and a 15. Which, alright if you've put enough into it, but still a bit not exactly encouraging, more just, you know, we know you're going to be bad, so let's make it less bad.
Yeah.
Vivacious, recover 50% more hit points whenever they recover hit points. And they also regain half the spellcaster's level extra healing from healing spells. And that replaces their bonus against spells.
Yeah, always the first part will be pretty much useless in your campaigns, Chris, but most normal Pathfinder games that can be brutal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm in a campaign that uses the normal rest rules. Yeah, that would be so good. Let's see. Warden of Nature, +2 dodge bonus to AC against aberrations, oozes and vermin. This is normally a dwarf trait from what I recall, and the +1 attack rolls against them. This replaces defensive training. These gain a +2 bonus on driving checks and on craft checks to build or repair vehicles. Yeah, if you're being a vehicle focused one, I can see that. They've got a diminutive adept monk, which I think will probably be a version of the underfoot adept from Pathfinder. They've got a specific thief archetype. Oh boy.
You lose evasion, but you basically when you use sleight of hand, you basically get people penalty equal to half your rogue level to spot it.
Yeah, the rummage isn't so good though.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as I was thinking it is, although we might need to find out what improved steel and greater steel do in regards to this game. Let's see. Go on, what's arcane talent give you? Oh dear God, they can get they've got a racial feat they can get so long as they have at least a 10 in charisma, not unlikely considering their stats. It gives them a free 0 level spells of 3 times per day spell-like ability.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's from the white mage or black mage spell list. Why do I get the feeling black mage 0 level spells are pretty nasty? Let's go into the base races, because there are more. I think we are going to have to run long on this one, because otherwise we're going to be at this for months.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, on to the Aegil. I do not... Yeah, these are going to be most DM's worst nightmare. They're a race with flight. I mean, I don't have a problem with having a flying race in a game. +2 wisdom and +2 dexterity, -2 charisma and constitution. They have however, I might complain about the 60-foot fly speed with average maneuverability.
That is a bit much.
Particularly as they can do it so long as they're carrying up to a medium load, but they can't wear heavy armour, so maybe. Still, Oh, and they get wind and lightning. Oh, another thing to note for this system, they have introduced the other elements from Final Fantasy for potential energy type damage, so yeah. We've got wind, so you now actually have wind energy resistance. They get keen senses, gliding wings, they can which negates fall. They take no damage from falling. Makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's basically just a reskin feather fall.
Yeah. So constant feather fall from level 1. That I might take a bit of issue with, but falling damage isn't brought up too often in most games.
Yeah, pretty rare, really.
But they do take a -2 penalty to diplomacy checks when dealing with with other races. Let's see. They have an alternate racial trait called oppressive, which gives them a sense motive check. On a success, the eagle gains a +4 racial bonus on intimidate checks and against the target, and a +1 racial bonus on DC of any fear effects they use against it. Okay, so this is a race of people who like messing with others. And the eagles with this trait can spend a full round action to predict the weather in an area for the next 24 hours. The eagle's prediction is always accurate but cannot account for spells or supernatural effects. So you basically get to know what the weather is. That in a survival campaign would be such a broken ability. Wing clipped. They reduce their fly speed, but they get a +2 racial bonus on bluff, climb, and diplomacy checks, and removes the eagle's emotionless racial trait. So sacrifice 2/3 of your fly speed and a stage of maneuverability, and have to make a DC fly check to fly upward, but you become a viable face.
Not bad.
Yeah. They have an airborne ambusher and a sky seer as archetypes. What on earth is Wings of Air? Oh, it's just an extra bonus against wind and lightning effects. Never mind.
Oh, actually, it also gives you your fly speed increases to 120 feet.
Oh, never mind then. Yeah. Well, at least they have to be at least level 9, so there's that at least.
Yeah, by then at least mages will have fly and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, when you guys get that in Forging the New Gods, that's going to be interesting.
Just every siege, we're just flying people up, dropping dead bodies, full diseases, and bombs onto them.
Yeah, and now we're on to the Albed. Surprised they actually started these guys up. I thought these would just be a human variant for a bunch of racial traits.
Same.
Although I suppose they are a bit weird considering the whole spiral pupils thing.
Yeah, but that's about it, really.
True, although the implications of actual biology after that do kind of take a bit of a steep what the hell.
True.
+2 intelligence, +2 dexterity, and -2 charisma. Well, considering their version of diplomacy is trying to kidnap people and then talking to them, yeah.
Yeah, they're annoying enough.
Let me guess, you weren't a fan of Riku?
Yeah.
Let's see, +2 racial bonus on saving throws versus mechanical traps.
Makes sense.
Let's see. In addition, they never take penalties for not having a toolkit while using the repair skill, and it only takes about half the normal time. Nice. Why do I get the feeling these are Why do you get the feeling that these guys have been built for the mechanical class?
Well, for like you just said, Riku.
Yeah, fair point. Although, to be fair, I'd have said she was more in line with the rogue, considering how much she stole stuff and just basically stuck stuff together and threw it at people.
Oh man, weapon familiarity. Albeds treat simple firearms as martial weapons.
Dear God! Mechanical Genius. At first level, Albeds gain a skill rank and a +2 racial bonus on skill rolls, which they must apply to one of the following. Wow, a free skill rank! I mean, it's knowledge engineering, profession engineering, any craft, disable device, or use magic device. Yeah, Rogue wouldn't love a free rank and a +2 bonus on disabled device at all, would it? Let's see. They can +2 bonus on knowledge technology, which they can swap out for a academician. +2 on any knowledge check. So that's not bad. Seems a fair trade. Child of the Sea, replacing their Desert Nomad to get them which is effectively endurance almost, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
But instead you get a +4 racial bonus on swim checks as well as Depression Sailor and wisdom checks to pilot a sea vessel. And they can never get lost at sea, so you're effectively under permanent no direction. Yeah, I'd say that's a fair swap if you're doing a pirating campaign.
Yeah, but they're going to get airships the first chance they get.
Well, yes, but at the same time, if you were doing it set in Spira, dear God, would that be a useful feat to have?
True.
Not feat trait. Sounds like it should be a feat, but... Let's see, Explorer, +2 racial bonus on acrobatics, climb and swim checks, and these skills are always considered class skills. Replaces Mechanical Genius and Desert Nomad.
Situationally nice.
Magical Resistance. Spell resistance equal to 5+ their character level.
Fucking seriously?
And it replaces Fixer-Upper and Weapon Familiarity. So you lose access to firearms, but you gain spell resistance.
You could put that on, you can remove all of their racial traits in exchange for that one, that still wouldn't be worth, it's still overpowered.
No, because there are other races that can get spell resistance. I mean, in Pathfinder even.
Yeah, but from the start.
I mean, yeah, I was meaning there are actually races that can get it as a racial trait. Funnily enough, I think Asimar's one of them. I could be wrong though. Could we mix it up with one?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Xenophobic. +1 bonus against mind affecting effects, but they only learn one language for every 2 ranks in linguistics. And Wary, which replaces Desert Nomad and gives a +1 bonus on sense motive and bluff checks. Yeah, no.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Exalt resistance.
Yeah.
That's only against spells with the evil descriptor.
Yeah, and let's see. Arcane Ruin. Oh dear God, at 6th level they can get a feat that lets them basically any successful hit against the magic item gives it the broken condition. Yeah, yeah, that's one way of making the party hate you as a DM. And they get a Tinker Engineer archetype, which don't know about the Engineer yet, so can't comment on that one.
Yeah.
Have to wait for us to get to that class and then we'll come back and have a look at it then. The Aura. Final Fantasy XIV's version of dragon-blooded tieflings.
These are always one of my favorite. These are always my favorite one to play.
I was gonna say, wasn't this? Is this basically the inspiration for why you wanted to have a dragon-blooded race in one of our custom settings?
No, not this one. It was more so just I've obsessed. I've always wanted to play a half dragon in one campaign.
Fair enough.
But the level just was always too much to deal with.
Yeah. Wow, this is the first time I've seen someone other than the that one alien race from one of the Pathfinder books use sexual dimorphism.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah, I actually like it, and I kind of wish more things would do it, but I understand it caused a wee bit of controversy in certain circles.
Yeah.
Because according to some, sexual dimorphism isn't a thing. Really. Let's see, males get +2 strength, +2 wisdom, -2 charisma. Females get +2 dexterity, +2 charisma, -2 constitution. Okay, so blokes are the fighters, females are the spellcasters.
Yep. Standard draconic spell resistances, +2 on saves against paralysis, sleep, +1 natural armor, +2 on saves against fear.
Yeah, it makes sense. Female Ori gain a +2 racial bonus on diplomacy checks. Males gain a +2 on intimidate checks. They all gain a +2 on survival checks. They get ferocity and dark vision.
Surprised it took us this long to find a race with dark vision.
Same. Let's see. Alternate racial traits. Battle hardened. They can replace survivalist, which gives them their +2 on survival checks to get a +1 to CMD.
Choose elemental resistance. You basically choose an elemental resistance.
Yeah, and
just lose your +1 natural armor.
Yeah, keen senses replaces survivalist, so you can swap survival perception. I can see a lot of people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And they can give up ferocity if they want to gain proficiency with either kama, katana, kusarigama, nunchaku, sai, shuriken, shangam, or wakizashi.
Well, I know some of my friends I'm never going to show this race to.
Wait, you seriously know people who are that much of Japanophiles to give up ferocity just to do that when there's actually a samurai class?
Yep.
Why? Just play a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they get the scaled fist monk archetype. Wonder if it's the same as the scale. No, it can't be. This probably came out before the scaled fist in actual Pathfinder.
It is pretty similar of using your charisma instead of wisdom.
Oh, in which case maybe it is just that then.
Mm-hmm. Additional +2 on saving throws against fear, paralysis, and sleep.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it is. And the banger from Final Fantasy 12. These guys were weird, but I always kind of wish that there was a banger in the main party for Final Fantasy 12. They're sort of Final Fantasy's answer to lizard folk, from what I can tell.
Yeah, probably.
+2 dexterity, +2 wisdom, -2 intelligence.
Oh man, free swim speed.
Yeah, you can get plenty of those though. I mean, you can do that with, well, no, actually there isn't plenty, but I think lizard folk can get it, and I know Undines can get it.
Yeah, but these guys, they get a +8 racial bonus on swim checks to perform special action or avoid a hazard, so that'd be pretty useful.
Yeah, and they get a +2 on acrobatics and perception. And Deaf Pugilist, let's see. They effectively get the benefits of improved unarmed strike without having to take the feat.
Mm-hmm. No improvement to their unarmed strikes, though. Actually, their bites, so they can actually just use that.
Yeah. And they can hold their breath for longer. It's not quite as good as the Undines, because when you do it with them, you can get them to be amphibious. I've always wondered why people would ever do anything otherwise, because if you're playing an Undine, you're almost certainly in a water adventure.
Mm-hmm.
They can get a thing that's they're blinded, which gets them the scent ability. Oh, they're effectively permanently wearing blindfolds to get the scent. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I will admit, one of the things I've always wanted to do is I wanted to figure out a way to actually play a blind character that works in a D&D game.
Yeah, closest you're gonna get is probably the to take the ability of the Oracle Curse and stick it on somebody.
Yeah.
Let's see. Claws. They can get a set of claws that do a D3 points of damage. Why would you? They can get the prehensile tail. They can get a +2 bonus to the knowledge skill of their choice, which replaces their +2 to acrobatics. And weapon familiarity. Banger with a special cape with any one weapon, where it replaces their Deaf Pugilist. Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad.
Ooh, the unarmed strike damage can be. The claws aren't that good, but you put that on monk. There's also a feat called Rending Claw. Basically, gives you an extra D3 plus 1 to 1/2 of your strength modifier on damage.
Ah, not bad. And what's improved Deaf Pugilist do, or Greater Swimmer?
Yeah, you actually improve Death Pugil, so you actually get the improved unarmed strike.
Okay.
You may apply your dex modifier to attack and damage rolls instead of strength.
Too bad they can't get that Iron Skin Monk archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear God, that would be heinous.
Ooh, and actually also Tail Terror.
Yeah.
You get an additional tail attack that does a D4 bludgeoning damage.
And you get a Pugilist archetype for the Black Belt, which again we'll have to wait till we get to the Black Belt.
Mm-hmm.
Now to
these guys could be the fury of blows on these guys as monks would be insane.
Yeah, Burmesian next. Dogfolk or Ratfolk, do you think, from the picture?
Yeah, 1 second, it's loading.
Oh no, rats and mice. Ratfolk.
Mm-hmm.
+2 dexterity, +2 intelligence, -2 strength. They are medium. Yeah, okay. They are immune to disease. If they lose a saving throw against the disease, they become a carrier and can transmit the disease through their bite for 1 week.
That could be a hell of a way to get at a party for doing something if you just get sick of them.
Yeah, but dear God, that is a brutal defensive racial trait.
Mm-hmm.
+2 racial bonus on perception from keen senses, natural jumper, +4 racial bonus on athletics for jumping. Rodent empathy, +4 racial bonus on handle animal checks made to influence rodents. Tinker, +2 racial bonus on craft, alchemy, and use magic device. They have dark.
They really need to vary up these the crafts these guys can get bonuses on.
Yeah, they've got dark vision, a bite, and cornered fury. When a Burmesian is reduced to half a few of its hit points and has no conscious ally within 30 feet, gains a +2 racial bonus on melee attack rolls and to armor class.
That could be really good.
Yeah, I'm suddenly thinking this thing is an alchemist. Get below half hit points, activate Cornered Fury, drink mutagen, limit break. Market Dweller, +2 racial bonus on bluff, sense motive, and sleight of hand checks. Replaces Tinker. Replace Keen Scent. Yeah, I wouldn't do it, but yeah. Scent, drop the +2 to perception to gain the scent, but also take a -2 to all non-scent based perception checks. Yeah, no. Skulk, +2 racial bonus on stealth checks and take only a -5 penalty on stealth checks made to hide from creatures that they have distracted with a bluff check, rather than -10.
God, that would be brutal.
Yeah. On naturals, on nerve normal animals, -4 penalty on all charisma based skills to affect creatures of the animal type, and a +2 dodge bonus against animals. Meh.
Yeah, that would really only be good for very early on in the campaign.
Yeah, Gulch Gunner is a gunner archetype and a plague bringer. Yeah, that wasn't going to be obvious, which is probably like the plague bringer archetype for alchemist for rat folk. Now onto the Garif. Oh, these guys from Final Fantasy 12. I love the aesthetic of these guys.
I never got far enough in 12 to see them.
They're this sort of they're sort of this race of tribal people who all wear these horned falcon masks. They were really kind of badass. Didn't get covered much, which was really annoying. And I will say that the bit to get to them was one of the most annoying bits in the game I'd come across by that point. It's not as high up anymore, but that's not saying much because I've had to deal with the Esther Sand since.
I could not get into 12's combat enough to barely get out of the city.
I got about 3/4 of the way through before I got stuck on the level grind and then had issues with, and then the disc got it, and then the disc had issues.
Yeah.
So I'd have to restart, and I had about 70 hours in it.
Oh jeez, look at this mask. Plus 1 bonus on all saving throws.
Yeah, that's pretty damn bullshit. But before that, +2 to Constitution, +2 to Wisdom, and -2 to Intelligence. Yeah, Barbarian, Druid. Either way. +2 to Keen Senses again, Pastoralist, skill rank each level to place in one of the following skills: Craft, any knowledge of nature, profession, any pastoral, e.g. farmer, herbalist, midwife, shepherd, etc., or survival. The chosen skill is a class skill. So a free class skill and skill rank. Weapon familiarity with long spear, short spear, javelin, boar spear. Not too useful, but not bad. Okay, Unmasked. They give up their +1 to all saving throws to gain Die Hard as a bonus feat. Okay then.
That's banned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that wouldn't be brutal at all, would it? Historian replaces Pastoralist, gives them a free rank and in knowledge history each level, and treats knowledge history as a class skill. Soldier gains basically does the same thing, only with either knowledge engineering or profession soldier. Good for backstory. If you did it with the profession soldier, and not too bad with knowledge engineering. Okay, so they get the Tranquil Guardian Holy Knight archetype, guessing that's equivalent to Paladin, but we'll need to read over it, and the Peacekeeper Monk. Okay. Touch of Serenity, which is a feat on... Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's more related to stuff that's specifically in this site, so we'll give it to that later. The Gria. Wing Dragon Ladies. Well, chiefly ladies, given the images, but... Love for battle and competitive spirits, oh dear god, it's Draconic Valkyries.
Oh boy, there's actually I know there's at least actually a Valkyrie class, I think. Actually, no, it's not a class, there's a Dragoon archetype that basically lets you dual wield lances and fly.
I think I'd probably ban that more before I banned anything else, because dear god, that sounds brutal. Let's see, +2 strength, +2 charisma, -2 wisdom. Hello, Paladin! 30-foot land speed, let's see, and they can fly for a number of rounds equal to her constitution bonus. And basically has 30-foot movement with poor quality. See, far more reasonable fly speed compared to the last one. Was it the Aura? Or
it was the Aegil, whatever you say it.
Oh yeah, the Aegil, right. Yeah, far more balanced fly speed. Fearless, +2 save against fears, +2 bonus on athleticism, +2 bonus on acrobatics. Survivalist, +2 bonus on survival.
They really need to vary up these traits.
Yeah, I know. Had the race guide come out yet or not?
No clue.
Because if not, I could maybe excuse it. Destructive, +2 bonus on Sunder Combat Maneuver. Treat the Night Sword as a martial weapon, so basically their version of the Bastard Sword.
Yep.
Not bad. Okay, first alternate race trait. Bestial basically replaces their weapon familiarity with keen senses, +2 on perception. Maybe? Urdane Guardian gives them a +2 bonus on to knowledge nature, knowledge geography, and survival checks, which replaces their weapon familiarity. So that gives you a +4 on survival checks. Hello, Ranger. They can drop weapon familiarity to get ferocity. Forget what I said. Bypass weapon familiarity, hello, ferocity. Oh, and they can, let's see, they can basically get endurance, again, replace it. Most of these seem to replace weapon familiarity.
Yep. There's also fleet footage, another free way to get another free run and initiative bonus, lose survivalist and weapon familiarity.
Yeah, and then Sky Master, which gives them a +2 on fly and pilot checks and replaces their fearless racial trait. That seems more reasonable. They can get Dragon Herald, which is a kobold archetype normally for Bard, and a Trickster Thief. Really? These things don't get any Paladin archetypes with those bonuses to Strength and Charisma. And they've got the Skilled Fire racial feat. They're only one, so might as well go over it. Add 10 foot to your fly speed and improve your maneuverability by 1 stage. This feat may be taken multiple times, but you have to be at least 5th level. Oh, and Moogles can get this as well. Flying rabbit people, what next?
Amanda, the favorite class option for Holy Knight is basically you get 1/2 of your level to lay on hands for healing.
That's not bad. Now,
that would be really nice.
Now on to one of the most odd races from Final Fantasy, the Guado. Oh. And of course they use Seymour for the image. Despite the fact that he was only half Guado. +2 intelligence, +2 wisdom, -2 constitution. If they're using Seymour as the example, I think +2 wisdom might be testing things a bit.
Not even really.
Sort of, yeah, it's +2 wisdom, which is why he kept trying the same shtick over and over again.
Yeah.
If anything, if they're using Seymour as an example, I'd say +2 charisma, considering the amount of people who bought into his bullshit.
No.
Really not a fan of him by any chance?
Nope. Especially when I got stuck on his black bits.
Oh.
I got stuck on that snowy mountainside fight on him for forever.
Oh yeah, the Mount Gagazet fight. Oh, took me, I think, half.
I realized that only after I got that saved me from the boss, I could have bought all that holy gear that would have defended me and saved me a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think I got through about 6 attempts before I realised that and went back. Thankfully I had multiple saves.
I wish I did.
And they gain, let's see, defensive traits. They gain Deathless Spirit, 5 Shadow Resistance, and a +2 racial bonus on saving throws against death effects, energy drain, and spell or spell-like abilities of the Necromancy or Dark Spell varieties.
Yep,
so that's
from our racial trait.
Yeah, with some
taking ones that are not dwarven ones.
Yeah, with some slight tweaks. So that's why the bugger wouldn't stay dead. Skill bonuses. +2 bonus on bluff and sense motive skills. That fits.
Yeah, that fits.
Well, bluff at least. Sense motive, well, the rest of the Guados fell for it, so... Skill training. Guados always treat knowledge planes and knowledge religion as class skills. Yeah, seems fair enough. Detect undead. That really doesn't fit with the fluff.
Definitely.
Moderate fleetness. So long as Guado has no more than a medium load and is not fatigued, exhausted, or anything else, or experiencing any ability damage to its strength, dexterity, or constitution, its base land speed is increased by 5 feet. Oh, and it can apply to
archetypes.
Okay, we'll get to that in okay, we'll do the alternate racial traits in a second. Exorcist. Oh, the irony. Maybe this is more meant to refer to Seymour's dad? Because isn't that kind of why he got bumped off? Because he found out too much about Yevon's... Oh.
Look at Half Guado.
Okay, Half Guado, let's see. They gain a plus 220 racial aptitude, take a -4 to diplomacy and bluff checks involving other Guados. I'm not sure I like that, but okay. I'm not sure why anyone would want to play one.
Yeah, but with the whole SeaWorld bit, it just makes it all that better. Much more better.
Yeah, they can... Dear God, they can get rid of their skill bonuses and moderate fleetness to get a straight up +10 baseline, +10 to their base land speed. Deep magic, +2 racial bonus on dispelling magic, +2 racial bonus on cast level checks made to overcome spell resistance. Yeah, but that replaces their deathless spirit, so why would anyone want it? Oh, and they can get rid of their familiarity with knowledge religion and knowledge plane to literally be able to have a pseudo scent ability for corpses and badly wounded creatures. Okay, I'm now officially making a Guado serial killer if we ever run this as a villain. I'm sorry, but the serial killer vigilante archetype just works with that ability.
Oh, that would be too perfect.
May have to make it a half Guado though, just because, well, it'd fit. Okay, Hypello next. Don't think I've ever come across these in the Final Fantasy games I've played. Oh no, I have. Sorry, Final Fantasy X. Just didn't realise that's what they were called.
Oh, these fuckers.
Ah, right, the show off. Guessing you were not a fan of that scene.
Anything that probably makes me think of Jar Jar Binks? No.
Yeah. Yeah, they were a bit... Yeah, they weren't the best. I mean, I've encountered more annoying things, but yeah, I can understand why they would irritate you. +2 dexterity, +2 constitution, -2 strength. They gain a +4 racial bonus on stealth checks in marshes and forested areas. They are amphibious. +2 on handle animal. +2 on ride. They have a swim speed of 30 feet and +8 racial bonus on swim checks that swim speed normally grants. They can move through difficult terrain as it's normal while in a swamp, apart from magically altered ones. They have dark vision and a -2 to diplomacy and intimidation checks with other races. Fair enough. Again, these guys would make decent rogues.
I think more so rangers.
Yeah, true. Oh dear God, a group of these guys as rangers in a swamp forest.
No.
Run, run! I don't care if they fail on their intimidation check. You are still wanting to get out of there.
I swear, I'm someone who loves animals and all that stuff, but I swear to God, half the things in Final Fantasy trying to make up cute and such makes me want to punt them.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, I didn't mind the idea of the shoe puffs in general.
Yeah, if the shoe puffs themselves were nice, but just having these guys run them.
Yeah. I was gonna say, have you played 15 or not? I can't remember.
I have beaten 15.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because the Katobla pass from that were pretty impressive as well. Let's see. Defensive training, +2 dodge bonus to AC against large or larger animals and magical beasts. Replaces their ability to ignore swamp rough terrain though. Again, depends on where you go. Let's see. Fishy Merchant. +2 bonus on bluff and diplomacy checks, as well as ignoring their poor communication trait when engaging in a trade. Gets rid of their bonuses to a handle animal and ride checks. Okay. Great for NPC, not so great. Although I think certain parties might kill me if I had too many of these guys as wandering merchants.
Definitely.
Let's see.
I just go Dragoon and I just start carrying them scared on my spear, then scared on my lance every day.
Yeah.
Every session.
Let's see. Oh, and they can get a glide. Let's see. They can effectively get a glide and negate half of falling damage. Huh. but that again gets rid of their speed.
They can increase their land speed by 30 feet.
Oh no, it's
their swim speed.
No, it's 230 feet because they have a baseline speed of 20.
Oh, well, I'm glad I'm wrong then.
Yes. Sort of, you are slower on land, or you can give up your swim speed. I think I'd stick with just being slower on land personally.
Same.
On to the Mandragora. Oh dear God, these things. Again, another type of cutesy humanoid plants that look like, well, either giant onions or a walking dick joke. +2 dexterity, +2 wisdom, -2 constitution. They're small, have a baseline speed of 20 feet. They have a +1 natural armor. They gain a +2 resistance on saving throws against mind affecting effects, paralysis, poison, and polymorph effects, and they're immune to sleep. Not bad. +4 on racial bonus on stealth checks whilst in marshes and forests. Again, not bad. 1 level higher when casting spells with the Earth descriptor. So that's not bad. They can use photosynthesis once per day. Okay, what's that do? A spell-like ability. Caster heals 1d6 +3 damage and gains fast healing 1 for 1d6 rounds.
Definitely not bad.
No.
Oh man, look at this one. Shriek. Save or be nauseated for 1d4 rounds.
Oof. They're also bioluminescent, which means if they can cause any part of their body to glow like a torch.
We'll just strap them to the Holy Knight shield.
Hello, target practice. Because let's be fair, the only part that's worth making glow is their head. And they have to be exposed to daylight to adequate sunlight for more than, and they have at least every 2 days, or exposed to a daylight spell. Oh, and they've got a weakness as well. Several. They take 150. They take half again as much damage from fire attacks. -4 penalty to fortitude to save against environmental effects, and if they take ice damage, they have to succeed on a fortitude save, or they become staggered.
I don't expect these things to be playable.
I don't know, but whoever didn't actually work on doing it. That is horrendous. No way would I ever get near that. Can you think of a single person who would?
Nope.
Let's see. Oh, they can get buoyant, which replaces their camouflage and their bonus to earth spells to give them a swim speed of 20 feet. Burned one gets them energy resistance 5, and also to either fire or lightning, and gets rid of their plant resistances and their vulnerability to fire. Let's see. Cactuar kin, so they can deal a d3 points of piercing damage whenever someone attacks them with a natural weapon, or whenever they're grappled. Again, replaces plant resistance. Okay, I think I found a reason why someone might play them.
Oh, what did you find now?
Pestilent. Your lineages began as stagnant swamp. You gain immunity against poison and disease.
We found the one thing that could survive a... we found the one thing that could survive a Marlborough fight.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there is other stuff, but I seriously don't think anyone's going to want to play one of these things.
Carbon, if I'm proving us wrong.
Yeah, I think, considering they're basically built to be druids, I think Carbon's had enough time with druids.
Yeah, fair enough.
Numo? Alright. Alright, it's a hairy, long-eared dragon people.
He looks completely hammered.
Yeah, and also appears to have lips in its ears.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I can compare it to with that weirdness on the ear shape.
I can, but I'll probably get us censored on Twitch.
Yes, let's not go that route and stick with what... Alright, I can't think of anything that won't get us banned on Twitch. They're small, they get +2 in intelligence, +2 wisdom, -2 constitution. Yeah, someone wants these guys to play caster. +2 against enfeebling spells, not sure what that means. +2 racial bonus on any 2 knowledge checks, not bad. Well spoken.
+2 bonus on diplomacy and animal checks.
Yeah, as a single trait, that's pretty nice. Adept, +1 bonus caster level on determining spell effects. And if they have an intelligence of 11 or higher, can cast 3 0-level black mage spells once each per day, using their total character level as caster level. Depending on how good black mage spells are, that could be pretty damn bad. That could be pretty damn bad.
That's pretty on par with normal Pathfinder stuff.
True. Overwhelming caster moves. A Numo's cast level is treated 2 levels higher when making a spelling check or rolling to overcome spell resistance. They can see twice. They have low light vision, and they take a -4 penalty on swim checks. Do not take this race on pirate adventures.
Yeah, we'll just use them as bait.
They can get rid of their +2 to any 2 knowledge checks to get a +1 bonus on bluff, disguise, and knowledge local checks. How are you going to How are you going to disguise the little hairy dragon person?
Yeah, enough liquor can make anything look hot.
Oh, don't. Let's see. Law speaker. This racial.
My ear joke suddenly becomes a lot worse.
Yeah. Let's see. A Numo with this racial trait adds half his class level to all knowledge skill checks and may make all knowledge skill checks untrained. Replaces the +2 to any 2 knowledge skills. Yeah, why would you ever keep Sagacious when you could have Law Speaker?
Darkness is Wizard's wet dream.
I think pretty much any class is wet dream, to be fair. I mean, how many times might you want that?
True.
Magic resistant. They can get spell resistance in exchange for giving up their 2 levels higher on rolling to dispel or overcome spell resistance.
Yeah, but when they're probably going to be a caster anyway, they may as well just take it.
Yeah, again, why would you? What do you reckon there's ever been a Numo that's gone with anything other than Law Speaker and Magic resistant?
No.
Maybe if they want to play a face with this next bit, you can attempt to change a creature's attitude with diplomacy check more than once, even if you fail by 5 or more. Not bad. Oh dear God!
What?
Read Studious.
You've got to be kidding me.
Okay, here you go, folks. Truly adventurous Numo leave the study of books and scrolls to others. A Numo with this racial trait can choose one class. Levels in that class count as levels called virtual levels in any other class for the purpose of prerequisites for feats, prestige classes, and calculations that depend on level. If the Numo also takes levels in the class which he has virtual levels in, the two are added together to determine class level.
And all you lose is the cantrips.
Yeah. Again, another one that no Numo will leave home without. You are effectively a Gestalt character. Oh dear God. Wizard and Cleric. Pre-made Mystic Surge.
Oh man, look at Fretstone. For 1 minute you can gain +4 initiative, +1 dodge bonus to AC, +2 on saving throws versus a known attacker ability.
Yes, but you have to give up your spell resistance and your studious.
True.
I'm sorry, but as good as that is, it's not good as being able to have spell resistance and effectively be a Gestalt character. I think we've officially found the most power gaming race so far.
I'll throw that in the ban pile.
Yeah, just a bit. Why do I get the feeling breadth of experience is going to make it worse? Yes, Numo, and so long as you're 100 years old or more, which I'm guessing, which you can choose arbitrarily, you get a +2 bonus on all knowledge and profession skill checks and can make checks with those skills untrained. Yeah, that's broken. I don't know how the Numo aging works, but yeah, I'm playing a Numo. I'm playing a Numo with that if I'm playing a Numo. They have a red, and yet the two racial archetypes are for the Eldritch Raider Thief and the Elemental Knight Red Mage.
Eldritch Raider looks pretty good, especially if you go into... Sure.
Yeah. Let's have a look. And what's the prerequisite? Oh, it's not a prerequisite, is it? Of course.
Yep, it's just archetype.
Yeah. Why do I get the feeling... Yeah. Again. Yeah, Numo are officially broken. I didn't expect them to be, but yeah. The Q? Oh, these things from Final Fantasy VIII. If you have a problem with clowns, do not go on the Q page. +2 to Constitution, +2 Intelligence, -2 Charisma. Yeah, you don't say. +4 racial bonus on saving throws against poisons and the sap status effect. Thanks to their strong summit. They get a +2 racial bonus on to profession and chef skill checks. So these might actually be up your alley. Receive endurance as a bonus feat at first level, and treat the battle fork as a martial weapon. The fact that the Q battle fork is a weapon. Alright then.
I will admit, Chris, if I go Q, I'm gonna make a Pennywise.
So Druid?
Close enough.
Well, I'm thinking Vermin Druid so you can turn into a giant spider. Let's see. Eat anything, +4 on survival checks to forage for food, and +4 racial bonus on saves versus the effect that cause the nauseated or sickened condition. Replaces expert chef. So I don't know how to cook, I can just eat anything. That'd feed into your Pennywise build. +2 racial bonus on appraise and perception checks to find hidden objects, and to determine whether food is spoiled or identify a potion by taste. Replaces weapon familiarity. Not bad. Limited scent replaces weapon familiarity. And unnatural, +2 dodge bonus against animals, but animals are always treated as one step worse than normal. Meh. This race really isn't that great.
Nope, not at all.
They do appear to have a way to turn their tongue into a natural weapon, though. through a series of feats.
No, actually, it's at least that's what I'm telling you is you can basically pickpocket at 10 feet.
Yeah, I'm more thinking the tongue lash that's down at the bottom of them. And they have a Holy Knight racial archetype along with a Blue Mage one. I get the Blue Mage, that makes sense. From what I understand of blue magic, not so much the Holy Knight. So now on to the Rogadin. Oh, big bruiser blokes from Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, cousins to the Galka. So another half-orc alternate. +2 strength, +2 charisma, -2 dexterity. Hello, Paladin.
You know, they get the Goliath's powerful. They get the powerful build ability.
Hello, Paladin. Oh, and they get Cornered Fury. And Ferocity.
Now just give them some Paladrons of the Juggernaut.
Yeah. Oh dear God, it just me are these things screaming out for a Paladin Barbarian combo.
Yeah, I'm thinking Titan Mauler.
Yep. Oh. Okay, and they also have stability, which they can swap out for a +1 bonus to CMD. Meh. They can get rid of their bonus to Intimidate to get a +2 bonus on swim checks and +4 racial bonus on acrobatics to move around narrow or slippery surfaces, and on climb checks on docks and ships, because they're apparently sailors. Okay. Or they can be stoic and replace their imposing figure and ferocity, so that's never happening because it's a +2 on saving throws against emotion and fear effects.
Oh man, they could actually get the ferocity monster ability.
They already have that.
Hold on, I know it's something different. I think it's pretty much just like a blood rage. Instead of just not going down.
Alright. And they have only one archetype, which is Seawolf, a fighter archetype. Can't say I blame. Yeah, don't worry, Calvin. We know you don't like pets. And we know you're doing, what was it? Occultist next campaign? If I remember correctly? So yeah, ferocious action. Yeah.
Oh man, ferocious tenacity. Once per day while raging, if you're hit by attack that will deal enough damage to kill you, you could just spend 1 out of your rage to keep yourself alive.
Oh.
Help negate the damage.
Yeah, I'm Rogadin. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing Rogadin Holy Knight Berserker. Let's see. Base races Ronso. Now there's one I'm familiar with. Yeah. Let's see. +2 strength, +2 wisdom, -2 charisma. That fits. They effectively are permanently under the cold aspect of endure elements and have cold damage resistance 5.
Oh god, these guys would be brutal as dragoons.
Well, yeah, Kimari's specialty was with a spear. He was effectively a blue mage dragoon hybrid.
I was looking at the powerful charge thing.
Oh yeah, 1.5 times strength bonus with it. Wait, its horn deals 2d6 points of damage plus 1.5 times strength. That's ridiculous. I mean, admittedly, the horns normally only do 1d6, but yeah, charging with its horn, talk about using your head. And
That's your corner, Chris. I'll take over from here.
Yeah. Okay, so they can get battle hardened again. That's quite a common alternate racial trait. They can get a +4 bonus on intimidate checks, but that gets rid of their bonus to survival. Yeah, I can believe that. Let's see, they gain claws, which deal a d4 point of damage, which replaces their Arctic Fur and Survivalist. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to get rid of 5 elemental resistance for natural weapons that aren't the horn.
Yep, not at all.
Mage Hunter, gain +2 racial bonus on spellcraft checks made to identify a spell, and a +1 racial bonus on attack rolls against spellcasters. They only gain this bonus against creatures that use spells and not against those that use spell-like abilities. Fair enough. Feral Nasher Beastmaster archetype, which, from what I understand from what I've read on other parts, appears to be a druid barbarian, not a druid barbarian, a ranger barbarian hybrid.
Potentially, I think.
Yeah, let's see. Focusing Blow is one of their racial feats. I'm hoping that works with the charge. Let's see. Okay, basically, someone can hit you to stop mind. Basically, someone can wallop you to stop mind-affecting effects that are on you. Not bad. Seek next. Ah, yes, the pigmen of Final Fantasy XII. And I'm not kidding, folks. They are basically bipedal pigs with horns. +2 Constitution, +2 Wisdom, -2 Intelligence. 30-foot speed. Not sure about that.
Yeah. I just had a bad mental image.
I do not want to know.
I'll save until we're off the air then.
Yeah. Let's see. +2 racial bonus on saving throws against poison spells and spell-like abilities. +4 racial bonus on... They've got stability, so against... Bonus on CMD against Bull Rush and Trip. They're deceptive. Get a +2 bonus on bluff checks that play upon their... on pretending to be dumb and slow. Fair enough. +2 racial bonus on perception and sense motive checks. So they're actually pretty good spy masters. They can also get that Cornered Fury, not nearly as good here. They can get the Dwarf's Greed trait. They can get Nimble, which gives them a +2 bonus on reflex and a +1 dodge bonus to AC when unencumbered or wearing no more than light armor. So Seek Monk could actually be quite good with that racial trait.
Agreed.
They can get Scent, which again implies the -2 penalty to any perception check other than by scent. They get a Gift of Gab, which can get them a +4 racial bonus on diplomacy checks when made gathering information. Yeah, no. And they have the Dirty Fighter archetype for fighter. Meh. The Shindroid, straight from Final Fantasy VII, I'm guessing. And for this, they're not even using Final Fantasy art; they're using art from Eberron. And potentially art from for an android. Let's see. +2 bonus to dexterity and intelligence, -2 penalty to charisma. Yeah, they're technically constructs. They have light fortification, so they have a natural 25% chance to ignore critical hits. Yeah, that's not broken for a frontline tank at all, is it?
Not even remotely.
They have a +1 natural arm bonus. They get Cybertech Savant as a bonus feat at first level. Not sure what that does, so I'm just going to check. Your Constitution Intelligence score are considered 4 points higher for the purpose of determining how many implantations of Cybertech you can have. Okay. Guess we'll have to wait till we get to the Cybertech rules to see how good that is.
Agreed.
They have a natural slam attack that deals a d4 points of damage. They have a dark vision of 60 feet and low light vision. They are technically immortal and gain no negatives or benefits from aging, and cannot die of natural causes. They don't.
Oh, sorry.
They don't have to eat or drink or breathe. They have the Android's Nanite Surge ability from Pathfinder, and when reduced to 0 hit points they don't die, they're just disabled and have to When it hits -1, it becomes inert and unconscious and helpless and cannot perform any actions, and basically can't have anything done to it until it's repaired. They're emotionless, so they get a -4 to sense motive checks, high maintenance. Shin droids heal by your healing spells and effects work at 50%, so they only take half healing. They can't be spellcasters and can't activate magical items.
Interesting.
That's a pretty brutal negative.
Kind of the class, it won't really matter.
And they do have to shut down for. They don't technically have to sleep, but they do have to shut down for 8 hours, otherwise they take a -1 to attack to all rolls, basically. So basically, yes, you do have to sleep. Okay, they can lose emotionless to only take a -2 penalty on mind affecting effect, but can gain the benefits of morale bonuses, which they normally can't, and suffer no penalties on sense motive checks. And they additionally gain bluff and sense motive as class skills. So, android that wants to be a real boy. Body double, they basically lets them gain a +10 disguise checks made to impersonate that person. Oh, that couldn't be fun for a DM at all, could it? Factual, they get a -4 penalty on bluff checks, but they get in. Let's see. Okay, they can replace the -4 on sense motive with a -4 penalty on bluff checks. Okay then.
I know I'm usually a face, but even I could probably enjoy playing that, playing that trait up.
Yeah, factual. Yeah, you basically get to play Data from Star Trek. Let's see. Or would that be more the emotionless? Force field. They can grant themselves a number of bonus hit points equal to 5 times their character level. All damage dealt to the Shin droid with an active force field is reduced from these hit points first. But they don't get any benefits of damage reduction or elemental resistance. A force field has fast healing equal to half the Shin droid's character level if it's not reduced to 0 and can only be activated once per day. But it replaces their light fortification, nanite surge, and natural armor. Not sure if it's worth it. Actually, temporary hit points that have fast healing, that could be very worth it at later levels. Josh, you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to push talk for a little bit just because I was getting some background noise.
No problem, dude. But what do you think of force field?
I'd say for a range fighter, I think it would work pretty well.
Yeah.
For a caster.
Let's see.
Oh man, I looked at one of their racial feats.
Yeah.
Adamantine body. You're counted as having a +8 armor bonus and get DR2 adamantine.
Not bad. And they can get integrated weaponry. And integrated ranged weapons do not provoke attacks of opportunity when fired into melee combat. That's not bad. And it gets rid of your nanite surge and your slam attack. Yeah, I'll take that. Iron Spy, they are built for stealth. They get rid of their nanite surge, but instead gain... let's see. Reduce the penalty for using stealth while moving at full speed by 5, and reduce stealth check penalty for sniping by 10. Hello, Assassin Droid. Magitech unit, replace nanite surge and gain the ability to be a spellcaster. Repairing nanites. Basically, it's a free heal that can automatically activate when you're knocked unconscious. And then there's the strong build, which means you can swap your dexterity bonus for a strength bonus, as long as you don't mind sacrificing 10 of your base land speed. They've got a Juggernaut, Knight Archetype, Ravager Ninja, and Warmech Engineer.
Yeah, it's gonna be something when I finally go over all these classes.
Yeah, this is true. On to the Tonkin, which sounds weird. Oh, it's Tonberries. It's basically Tonberries. Alright then. Who wants to play Tonberry?
I may want to.
Why do I get the feeling it involves a Dagger Master Rogue?
Maybe. +4 to stealth checks.
Yeah. +2
+2 on the saves against fear.
Yeah, +2 dexterity, +2 wisdom, -2 strength. Lantern Bearer, immune to light based blindness and dazzle effects.
Serrated Wound. When hanging upon with knife or dagger, deal an extra 1d4 bleed damage.
Yeah, bleed, damn it. Oh, that's nasty.
And limited telepathy.
Yeah. Well.
They get Cornered Fury.
They get the option for Cornered Fury, but it replaces Serrated Wound.
Yeah, true. But Serrated Fury is really good, so.
Yeah, and they get a +4 bonus on diplomacy checks to gather information and knowledge hit, and they also get curiosity, which is weird considering they can't actually speak. Oh dear God, they have something called telepathic spellcaster.
There's actually an archetype called Knife Master for them.
Yeah, let's see. You can cast spells as long as the creature you're targeting is within the range of your telepathy. So they're effectively permanent silent spellcasters. Admittedly, they only have at maximum they only have a 60-foot range, but
it's a nice hold off until they get into Arcane Trickster.
yeah, again, that's a weird one, but that could be broken. The Varg? Oh dear God, all the emos are playing this.
Yeah.
It is basically a werewolf. You are getting to play a werewolf without the penalties. +2 strength, +2 wisdom, -2 charisma. They get a +1 natural armor. They're immune to the curse of lycanthropy. But they can, as a standard action, touch a lycanthrope to give that lycanthrope an insight bonus equal to half the Varg's level plus his wisdom modifier. You really do not want to fight these creatures alongside werewolves. That is broken. +2 bonus on perception check, yeah. +4 racial bonus on handle animal checks and diplomacy checks made with wolves, direwolves, or any other wolf subtype. They've got a 1d4 bite.
Dark vision and a trait that'll actually make them, you know.
Yeah, emotionless, -2 on diplomacy checks when dealing with other races. They can get a bonus to perception and stealth. They can get perception and stealth with class skills, so long as they take a -2 to intelligence, with the feral alternate racial trait. Oh dear God, they can get a +10 to their bonus to their base land speed, and an additional +10 on the when using the charge run or withdrawal action, so long as they give up their natural armor racial trait. So 40-foot land speed and 100-foot charge. Or they can replace their starting attribute bonuses to get +2 wisdom, +2 charisma, -2 constitution, and a +1 racial bonus on all saving throws. So they make excellent clerics.
I was gonna say sorcerers.
I was just thinking that wisdom and charisma are kind of what you need for a cleric as well.
Oh man, I just thought of a brutal combo. It's a cleric, bard, shield brace, for spring attack.
Yeah, that's nasty. They have the Mooncaller and Pack-Bonded Hunter archetypes for the Astrologian and Beastmaster. And on to the last one from Final Fantasy XII, the living Playboy Bunny, the Viera. You got a better description for them?
Not really, sadly.
Yeah, they are bunny girls. There are guys, just not many of them, and it's a female-dominated society. They're basically Playboy Bunny Amazons. Now there's an alternate cover for Wonder Woman that'd get some serious flack. And they're immune to sleep effects and get a +2 bonus on against enfeebling effects. They get a +2 dexterity, +2 wisdom, -2 constitution. Hello, ranger or druid. They get +2 bonus on perception checks. They always count stealth and survival as class skills. Let's see, they get a +2 bonus on knowledge nature and survival checks made in a forest environment. They are always proficient with short bows, including composite, long bows, and great bows, which is another one of the specific weapons.
They can make really good druids.
Yeah, archer druids. As if they weren't scary enough. Oh, and they can get fleet-footed, which gets them run as a bonus feat and a +2 on initiative checks. But it gives up their weapon familiarity. Not sure it's worth it. They can be Fiol, which means they're native to cities rather than the woods, which replaces their bonuses on. Let's see, green word, people of the wood. Yeah, replaces their bonus on knowledge, nature, and survival checks in a wooded area with a straight up +2 racial bonus on knowledge local and knowledge engineering. But it also, if you play it straight, would have a serious role-playing impact. Let's see, Silent Hunter, reduce the penalty for using stealth at full speed by 5, and can make stealth checks while running at a -20. But it replaces their immunity to sleep. Not sure it's worth it. Some VR adapted to life. See, +4 racial bonus on swim checks. Can always take 10 while swimming, and may choose Aquan as a bonus language. Replaces their their weapon proficiency with long spear, trident, and net. Again, not worth it.
Yeah, well, they're already basically in swimsuits.
Oh yes, Urbanite. +2 bonus racial bonus on diplomacy checks made to gather information, and sense motive checks made to get a hunch about social situations. Yeah, again, if you're going to pick anything to replace People of the Wood, I would say go with Fiol, although the impact is not necessarily worth it. You have the Deadly Courtesan, Treetop Monk, and Wild Shadow archetypes. They also have the Vieran Accuracy and a few other racial feats that sound pretty cool. If you miss due to concealment when making a ranged attack with a great bow, long bow, or short bow, you can re-roll your mischance roll one time to see if you actually hit. So re-rolls on every ranged attack into cover.
True, but you can just get a seeking weapon and or eventually improve precise shot anyway.
Yeah, but you can get this at level 1 as a ranger.
True.
Yeesh. Spirit of the Wild. Was that it? Oh no, you're a trained. No, that's not what I was thinking of. What's Mage of the Wild do? That's probably the one I'm thinking of, because they had this really weird ability in the game. +2 bonus cast level on cast level checks, concentration checks, and knowledge arcane and spellcraft checks whilst you're in a specific type of terrain. Yeah, again, that would make them badass druids.
Agreed.
Or badass mages if you're having them be a forest wizard. Right, we've gotten through the races. We will start... Well, actually, no, we haven't. We've still got the Beastmen tribes.
We can take a break from them between sessions. We can take a break from them.
Yeah, I'd say we can probably call it a night here because it's gone 1 AM over here.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so that's the first section on the Final Fantasy D20. It is long, interesting, and dear God, there are some broken combinations.
Absolutely. Some of the best parts of tabletop gaming.
True, although I still say the Numo are going too far.
Agreed.
I mean, some of the others are bad, but... Ugh. No race should be able to be Gestalt from level 1 in a non-Gestalt game.
Oh god, just imagine if it was Gestalt. 3 classes.
Oh, I'm thinking of another way that could be fun. Have them go Evangelist. And have them pick their virtual levels for their class they pick for virtual levels for their other class with Evangelist. Just automatically get to be like a 5th or 6th, you know, automatically get to skip straight to 7th level cleric or something like that. The other players would riot, and with good reason.
I wouldn't blame them. Mike Carbon.
No, guys. This should be uploaded tomorrow. Take care. Well,
Yeah,
presumably
later.
YouTube doesn't mess me about too much.